Hey everybody, welcome to Helpful Hints for Holiday Cooking. My name is Henry Bousquet and I'm a certified executive chef from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Today I'm going to prepare for you both a holiday turkey and several sides to go along with it. We've got butternut squash today, carrots and turnip, and a French Canadian meat dressing, which is a little bit different, right? We don't hear about that much. But I figured that would be something great. I'm going to show you also how to properly prepare that turkey and then how to butcher that turkey once it is fully roasted and well rested. So to begin, I think we need to get our pots and pans here rolling. So I'm going to start with a butternut squash. We have a nice specimen here on the counter. I won't bore you with how to peel it, but it is quite difficult to peel. So if you have a good sturdy peeler, you want to get right on that. I have some diced for us. I'll get that into a pot. I'm going to cover that with water, cold water, and get it cooking. All right, put that over here. You could put that right on high and get that right up to a rolling boil. You do want to start it in cold water. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you is carrots and turnip. Now, carrots and turnip are a classic holiday staple on most tables. Here, I've got a nice piece of carrot, about 8 ounces worth. I'm going to trim the edge to take off the little carrot shoot. And then I want to show you how you take a round vegetable like this and make it safe to chop. I want to take one side here very carefully, and I'm going to cut that side off and then roll it down so now it's got a flat side. So my first plank is going to be the end of the carrot. Then I'll cut a series of planks about a 1/2 inch thick, and then I'll cut those planks also a 1/2 inch into what we call bâtonnet, or a stick, right, a carrot stick, also a 1/2 inch, right, and then we'll take these and I'll cross cut them perpendicular, also a 1/2 inch, so we end up with a nice 1/2 inch dice. The more even your product is diced, the more even it will cook. All right, so we take these carrots. No waste here. Maybe the peel if you like to peel them, or you can wash them. You don't even really need to peel them. It will look cleaner if you do, for sure. All right, I'll take my carrots. I'm going to get them right into our pot. A few extra from here. My trusty assistant diced those earlier. Now, the turnip, also a round vegetable. You want to take a look at this guy here. We've got this peeled up. This happens to be a purple top turnip. Macumber are my personal favorite. We'll take those. We're going to slice a flat side on that guy, make it easier to cut. And again, I'm going to go for a 1/2 inch cube. Maybe a little bit smaller. And once you slice your planks, you'll again try to go the same thickness here that you made your planks. Right. I find this to be the most efficient way to prepare for my holiday meals. I always like to do all of my own preparation for that. And I always do it the day ahead. I'll spend my time on Wednesday, maybe the day before Thanksgiving, or any holiday really, the day before, doing all this prep work. So the morning of the holiday, I'm not in the kitchen all day long. You know, I can spend time with family and friends and enjoy their company. We'll take the turnip we just diced, place that in the pot as well. Now, root vegetables like turnips and carrots need to be started in cold water, right? Same thing with potatoes. Anything typically that grows under the ground should be began in cold water. So I'll add a few more of those turnips to that. I also like to put a pinch of sugar and a pinch of salt into my water. Top these guys, just top them with water. All right, and then on to the burner they go, on high. All right. That is our carrot and turnip and our butternut squash. They're cooking. They're going to take probably 30 minutes to come to a boil and to soften up enough for us to be able to mash them. While that's working, I'm going to start by making the next dish on the menu, which is a French Canadian meat dressing. So our prep work for that is pretty easy. We might need a clove of garlic, smashed and chopped. And then I've got this onion here. We're going to use about half of this onion. But I'd like to show you a safe and easy way to dice an onion. And how I always do it, I teach my students how to slice you start with the root end, and you recognize you've got a root and a bud end of the onion. You want to slice one end off and then the other end off. So it doesn't really matter which one you do first here, right? But I'll slice my bud end off and then my root end off. Stand this onion up on its flat side that I just created. And then I will go down the center of the onion through the root to the bud. And I've got now, it's peeled, it's still got the peel on, but it makes it so much easier to peel when you just cut it in half first, right? So I learned this technique after making gallons and gallons of French onion soup in the industry. So you get pretty quick at peeling onions and slicing them when part of your job is making French onion soup. So here we go, there's our waste here. See, I got a little container I can put that in. You can save this, use it for a stock. Folks are even taking their vegetable peels today and dehydrating them and grinding them into a powder and making a seasoning with their vegetable skins and trimmings. Things like carrots, onion, and celery. Make like a mirepoix powder. All right, so then I'm going to take that onion, I'll stand it up on the root end, and I'll make a cut. I want to do a mince, right, or a very small dice. So I'll cut that just about all the way through the onion. And then I want to look at the way the onion grows, and that's where I'm going to start by cutting it. I'm going to make a slice into the onions, go all the way down to the board, but not all the way to the back of the onion. I want to leave this top part here as like a little hinge. So here we go. Make a nice small slice, and then this isn't coming out. And then you slice perpendicular to make your diced onion. Helps it move along pretty quickly, right? Look at that, nicely diced already. And then when my onion feels like it's going to fall over, just let it fall over, right? And then I'll just go ahead and rock my onion. Here, I'm going to slice the butt of the onion right over to the root. And I don't really want to use the root, so I will eliminate any pieces of the root here, right? And I'll just cut what's left of the onion. Now I've got all of my pieces of the onion all chopped up for you. All right, once you have diced your onion, you're going to take a pot, put it on the stove, get it hot, and add just maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter. We'll get that in there, get that melting. And then we're going to put our onions in the butter and garlic, right? Our chopped garlic we got in there, our onions. Got my trusty rubber spatula. I'm going to give them a quick stir. All right, to get these to sweat down, I'm going to add a little bit of kosher salt, about 1.5 teaspoons, maybe 2 teaspoons, just enough to start pulling some of the moisture out of these onions and get them to really soften up for us. Turn that heat down a smidge. We don't necessarily want to brown them, right? We just want to kind of sweat them up. All right, our vegetables here are at a nice steady boil. So they're going to get going. Our onions here are starting to let out some of their liquid. You can tell from the steam that they're starting to cook off some of that moisture. Got about 30 seconds here, and I think we could probably start adding the remaining ingredients. So into these onions, we're going to add about 1 pound of ground beef. Break that up a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier to cook. And it looks like I'm going to crowd this pot, right? But we're not trying to brown the meat in the pot. Next ingredient is ground pork. Got some ground pork going in here now. Right on top of the onions and beef. That's about 1.5 pounds or so. Depends on how much of this dressing you want to make. Okay, I'll get that in there. Now, in addition to your ground pork, onions, and beef, you're going to add about 1/2 cup of cold water. And then stir all these ingredients together. That water is going to help the pork and the ground beef cook, but we're not browning it, right? We're just trying to simmer this until it is fully cooked. So that's what we're going to do here. Let this guy stir these ingredients together. Let them homogenize. And then we're going to let this simmer. Get it to a quick boil. Back it down to a simmer. Okay. Great. So we've got all of our side dishes working, right? The next thing I'm going to do is wash my hands. I was just playing with the meat there. I'm going to get them a little bit of soap and water. We're going to move on to preparing that holiday bird. All right. I'm going to put on a pair of gloves for this mission. And you notice here I've got a pot on the stove with about 1 gallon of warm water in it. I brought this to a simmer already. And what I'm going to do is, in this pot, we're going to begin to build our brine for the turkey. You can add all kinds of things to this, but I like simple sugar and salt. It's about 1/2 cup to 1 gallon of sugar, right? A gallon of water, 1/2 cup of sugar. And then 1/2 cup of salt. Now this is a brine, right? So the mixture itself is going to be really flavorful. It's going to have a lot of salt and sugar. You're going to feel like it's heavy on the salt and sugar. However, this warmed, dissolved salt and sugar in the water is going to get added to 1 gallon of ice, okay? And I like to use a 5-gallon bucket. Something like this works really great if you happen to have one. If not, you can visit your local feed store and get a food-safe 5-gallon bucket with a nice lid. that'll work out great for you, okay? So I've got our warm water here with salt and sugar in it, and it is dissolved. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Here, just to be sure it's all dissolved. Okay. Then you take your salt, sugar, and water mixture here, and you'll add that to your bucket. All right. It goes in the bucket. Sorry about that. Everything goes in the bucket. And now I've got this warm salt sugar mixture here. I'm going to add a gallon of ice to it. All right. And then we'll take our turkey. Got this guy, you see right here? 20-pound bird. And you're going to go rest side down into your bucket. Then you'll take this bucket with your turkey, fully submerged, and you'll put it in a cool place. If you're lucky enough to have a refrigerator that holds a 5-gallon bucket, fantastic. If you're not so lucky, and it's the winter season, which is coming up on now around here, as long as it's below 40 degrees, 40 degrees or below outside, you can store it outside overnight. You only need to brine your turkey for 18 to 24 hours. You can brine it a lot longer, and you can alter this brine any way you like. I've made it with apple cider, salt and sugar. I've made it with wine, salt, sugar, lemons, and fresh thyme, right? You can really infuse the liquid with any kind of flavors you'd like. Just remember that your turkey will have those flavors as well, right? So if that's what your intention is. All right, I got to pay some attention here real quick to some of the things on the stove. Looks like our French meat dressing is at a nice rolling boil. So I'm going to give this a stir. Just take a second real quick here. Wash my hands. I did just handle the turkey. So again, hot water, soap. Scrub those poultry hands. All right. Back at the stove we go here. All right. French meat dressing's about halfway there. We're going to lower the heat on it, and I'm going to let it simmer to finish. You want to make sure your meat is fully cooked. You're looking for 165 degrees, right? That's the temperature for ground beef, safe cooking. Also ground pork, any ground meat really. And of course, poultry as well, right? 165 degrees. That's our target temperature for something like this. So it's in its own fat. It's in some water here. It's got the onions and salt, and it is just simmering now. So we're going to leave that be. Turn that down a little bit. Let it simmer. All right, folks. So once your turkey is brined 18 to 24 hours, it's all a matter of cooking it next, right? So the next thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 325 degrees. The other thing that I recommend is something called a turkey triangle. If you don't know what the turkey triangle is, let me demonstrate. This is it right here. It's just a piece of foil, aluminum foil, and you fold it, fashion yourself a nice triangle here, and then this will go around your turkey, right, with the point down covering the breasts, right? And then what you'll do is this here will go onto your turkey and into the oven in your roasting pan. I always like to put my turkey legs toward the back of the oven. It's a little bit warmer back there, and we don't really open, when we open up the door, the heat doesn't escape from the back of the oven, it escapes from the front of the oven. So here we go, we got our turkey triangle. That'll go onto our bird, and then the bird will go into the oven at 325 degrees. If it's a 20-pound bird, you're looking at about 3 hours of cook time for that. And then once your 3 hours of cook time has elapsed, you're going to take your oven, open it up, take the turkey triangle off of the bird, and then turn the oven to 425 degrees, and you're going to let that cook for another 25 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of your bird. What's going to happen then is you're going to find that your bird is going to get nice, evenly golden brown and a lot more crispy, right? Because you've turned the heat up another 100 degrees, and now you're kind of rendering the fat on the skin. And that's how you get a nice crispy bird. Once you have that done, you're going to pull that turkey out of the oven. You're going to take your digital thermometer and you're going to temp the breast of the turkey first. You want that to be somewhere around 160 to 165 degrees, in that range, in the thickest portion of the breast. And then you're going to take your thermometer and you're going to put that into the thigh and or the drumstick meat of the bird. And you want that to register between 175 and 185. If it's looking like everything is ready, then you're going to take that bird out, right? And you're going to take a new piece of foil and you're going to cover the bird. And I like to put it on top of the stove, let it rest. If you're not cooking other items, right? You want to let that bird rest a full 30 minutes. I know it's really tempting to get in there and start tearing away at it. But if you wait the 30 minutes, especially since you took all that time to make the brine and flavor your bird, you will be rewarded with the most succulent holiday turkey you've ever had. Rest assured. Okay, so our items here are bubbling away. What I can do here, it looks like, is finish my French meat dressing. So it is simmered here for probably about eight or 9 minutes. Okay, we're going to add a couple of seasonings to it. I like to use kosher salt. So a little bit of kosher salt. A little bit of black pepper. Probably about 1.5 teaspoons or so of black pepper. Right? A lot of the salt and pepper that I use in my recipes are really to taste. It's what sort of the profile I've developed over the years, what it is I've liked, what I like to eat, and what I know my family likes to eat. And then the other thing we're going to add is allspice. This is the magic flavor in French meat pie and this French Canadian dressing, right? This is that spice. Everybody goes, what is that? I think it's cinnamon. It's not cinnamon. I think it's clove. It's not clove. It's usually allspice. So we mix that in. This here is a staple in my home, French Canadian meat dressing. All right, so once I've got that perfumed with a fair amount of allspice, actually I like it a little heavier on the allspice. Somewhere in the ballpark of, 1.5 tablespoons really is what I like. Oh yeah. Sorry, 1.5 teaspoons. I apologize. Here we go. Now, to finish this, lower the heat, right? I like to add a very fine breadcrumb. So today I'm going to use a panko breadcrumb. And all that does is sort of bind some of the excess fat, right? Tightens it all up and then makes it a little cohesive dressing. You'll see it'll even kind of hold the shape of a spoon a little bit, right? If you dig in there with a spoon, it should kind of hold its shape once you've added your breadcrumbs. So we'll mix this guy together really well. Okay. Beautiful. There she is. It smells delicious. All right, now I'm going to test these for some salinity. So just want to get a tasting spoon and go ahead and try my different items, right? Just to make sure they're fully done and they're seasoned to perfection. Oh, that's delicious. If you've never had a French Canadian meat dressing, ladies and gentlemen, please try it. Try it. I'm telling you, you are going to love it. It's a little bit different. And as you can see, it is just ground meat. So if you don't end up liking it, you can take it the next day, maybe make quesadillas with it or something like that, right? Find a way to use it where maybe your family didn't enjoy it. I don't know. But I can't see anybody who's not going to like this. So here we go. We're going to plate it up in a little glass bowl. Get it off the stove here. All right. Beautiful. Set that aside. All right, our next item. Rinse my spatula. My next item here is my butternut squash. I'm going to take this off of the stove. Oopsie, spilled a little water there. All right, and we're going to pour off our water. That's just the cooking liquid, right? There's a little bit of water. I had a little salt and sugar in there as well. Okay. All of my cubes are well cooked, as you can see. They're nice and smashy. Very simple to, once they're fully cooked, I'll put one on the board here to sort of demonstrate. Actually, maybe I'll just use a spoon, right? There you go. So you can see when you press on it, it just gives way. There's no structure left, okay? That's how you want to make sure you get it. Now, in this, I like sometimes cinnamon, but always a little bit of kosher salt. A little bit of kosher salt, okay? And then obviously, well, not, I'd say obviously, but maybe not to you. To me, a good knob of butter makes everything better, right? So we'll add some butter to our butternut squash, a little bit of salt, and then about a tablespoon and a half or so of brown sugar. This is light brown sugar. I'll put about a tablespoon and a half or so. Butternut squash has a very high Brix rating. It is sweet all in of itself, so you don't need a lot. But I like to add a little bit just to remind you that it's the holidays, right? Just to remind you that we're celebrating a special event, and it should be delicious and sweet and savory, right? There it is. I'm going to stir this together. You see, as I stir it, it breaks down into a whipped consistency. Look at that. She's beautiful. All right. And we'll take our fully prepared butternut squash here, and we're going to add it to our serving bowl. There we go. Doesn't that look nice? All right. Whipped butternut squash, ladies and gentlemen. I'll taste it, but I don't really think I need to. Oh, delicious. Okay. Our last side item here is our turnips and carrot. I'm going to check this stuff here for consistency. Got my spoon. Nope. She's going to cook a little bit longer. All right. So the turnips take a lot longer to cook. Turnips and carrots do take a lot longer to cook. You want them boiling for a fair amount of time. If you have a lid, that might help speed the cooking process off on a little bit here. While your turnips and carrot are finishing cooking, I think we need to turn our attention to the star of the show, which is our holiday bird over there. So I'm going to put on a pair of gloves And I'm going to show you, ladies and gentlemen, the best way to break that holiday bird down so you get plenty of yield and you have plenty of beautiful turkey for your family to enjoy in the holiday. All right, I'm going to come over here, grab our tray of turkey. Got some fresh thyme hanging out. Here we go. All right, so for those of you that aren't familiar with the how your bird is constructed, here are your breasts, right? These are your drumsticks. Underneath here, you have your turkey thigh, and these are the massive turkey wings. Here we go. So let's take this bird up. It's had ample time to rest. You see a little bit of natural juices come out in the tray here. I always like to address the bird head on, right? So I'm going to take a look at this guy from the neck back. So if you're doing this just after your turkey has rested for a full 30 minutes, it's still going to be hot, okay? I recommend either, if you don't wear gloves at home, maybe you have a little paper towel or something that you can kind of hold the bird with while you slice with your knife. That I find works pretty well. So I'm going to get, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to take my knife, and this here is what we call the keel bone. It runs down the very center of the turkey. It separates the two lobes of the breast. I always like to make an incision here first, right? And I kind of cut through the skin where the drumsticks are, and I'm just going to relax them down a little bit. I'm going to press them down. Okay, I'm leaving my wings on for now. It's going to help keep the whole thing sturdy for me, okay? So we're going to take our knife and we're going to find that keel bone. We're going to make an incision right on top of that keel bone, and that's going to help us sort of identify what side we want to start with. So it looks like here I'm going to go just on the right side of the keel bone. I'm pushing my knife so that I'm kind of against the keel bone. I don't know if you can see sort of that flexibility. And I'm going to cut straight down along the keel bone as close to it as I can. Now as I do that, I'm going to come along and find right here where the wishbone is, because that's embedded into your breast. Once you've made that incision, it's really quite easy just to kind of get into the turkey with your fingers. Then you're going to take your knife again, and you're going to cut toward, I'm just above the wing, and I'm going to cut toward where you would find the wishbone or collarbone, right? And then I'm going to put my hand against the keel bone and the breast, and I'm going to use it as a lever just to peel that meat away from the center of the turkey. What I've got is beautifully pink because we have seasoned it overnight in that brine. Don't be afraid. If you pulled your turkey to 165 degrees and the meat looks pink, it's fully cooked. It's just that your brine has chemically changed the color of the bird. That's all that is, right? So you make sure your turkey's 165 degrees, and then you can just peel that away. Watch how easy this is. I'm going to just lift the whole breast off of the bird. And I'll put this one down whole so you can take a look at it. And then get in here. Here, I'm going to tap on the keel bone so you can kind of hear what it sounds like. Right? So that's right here. I'm going to get just on the other side of it. Again, cut down toward the wishbone. Back along the keel bone. Come in this way here. Cut just above the wing. And then lever my breast off of the turkey. Your tenderloin might come away, but that's okay. You'll separate that out, no big deal. I'll get in there with my knife and scrape a little bit more aggressively against the frame of the turkey. But yeah, you just lever it right off, peel it out. That's it, nice and easy. All right, there we go. All right, beautiful breasts. Now, this carcass has got a little bit of meat left on it, right? I would just get in there, maybe peel that out. We can use that for turkey salad, right? All right, the next thing we're gonna do is gonna pull out, oh, you'll see my garlic that I stuffed the bird with here and all the herbs that I used to stuff the bird, right? We'll get that here. Take some of this out, put it in the trash. Okay, so we can continue to break down this bird. I want to show you how you get full utilization out of this thing, right? So you get that's all my herbs I stuffed it full of. That just perfumes the meat as it cooks. Provides really nice subtle flavor. Again, I just use a salt sugar brine most of the time because I know my family is a bunch of plain eaters. So they enjoy nice and plain food. I don't know how that happened. You know, you live with a chef for 25 years, you think you get used to all the fancy stuff, but nope. All right, we got our neck was in the bird as well. I always roast that inside. And then you can turn this guy over. You'll see the back of your turkey's got a whole bunch of dark meat here. We're gonna peel. We can peel all of this off too. All of this stuff is perfectly edible and wonderfully juicy meat. So we'd peel that off, and you can keep your wings whole or you can break the meat down off of them. It really depends on what it is you'd like to do in terms of, you know, does somebody in your family, or do you enjoy nibbling on the wings and all the little nib part and all the crusty bits? Or do you prefer white meat, right? Or maybe you prefer dark meat. And this is where that is, right? I'm gonna show you how to get at that real quick. Put our turkey frame right here for now. Set that aside. Quite a bit. A little bit more of our trash here. I'm going to put that into this container. Get out of our way. Okay. All right. I'm gonna put on another set of gloves. Those are pretty beat up now. And then I'll show you how to prepare. Oh, running out of water here in our carrots and turnip. I'm gonna check them now. Okay, they look pretty good. Wipe that down. Okay. I want to add just a tiny bit more water to let that cook just a little longer. Maybe another 3 to 5 minutes or so on that. It's almost there. All right, back to my gloves. And then we're going to continue to break down this bird. Now, your turkey, you can slice it with the skin on. You can remove the skin and save it for your favorite person who enjoys it the most. Or you can slice so every slice gets a little bit of crispy turkey skin. You know, depending on how many people we're having, I might even just, if we have a small group for the holiday, we might just wrap one whole one, get it right in the fridge, you know, and save that for sandwiches later in the week. Okay, so our leg and thigh are here. Removed from the bird, so I'm going to pop this out of the socket, right? Should pop pretty easily, fully cooked and all, right? And then we'll just cut through the cartilage to remove your drumstick. Place the drumstick on your serving tray. Like I said, most people really enjoy eating the drumstick. It's one of those things that's just some people might even fight over it in their house, okay? All right, so then we're going to look for, we got our beautiful thigh here. It does have a little bit more of the turkey frame attached than normal, only because it's fully cooked. So when I pulled it, it kind of broke with me. So what I'm going to do is look for the bone. Found it. I'm going to uncover it by just making a slice here in the bone, in the meat of the turkey. Peel away some of that meat. At this point, you could really just pull this. You don't need to slice it off. But I like to pull it off in pieces and then slice the pieces. This little bit right here, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this muscle. This muscle here is back on the back of the turkey. This one here is called the oyster muscle. If you're not familiar with this, next time you roast your turkey, flip it over and look for it. It's the first one you should eat. It's usually the chef's cut. Okay? So we'll get that out of there. All right. There's our dark meat. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a little bit of bone here. It's sort of like, you can see it, it's the base of the bird. Bottom half of the frame of the turkey. I always take my turkey bones and I'll break them up, put them in a pot with some carrots, onion, and celery, and I will saute them a little bit and then cover them with water, and I will stew that, or slowly cook the bones and make a stock, a very rich and gelatinous turkey stock. I love it. I have it in the fridge. As long as it stays good, it could stay good for 7 to 10 days. And then I'll use it for a bunch of other recipes. I might make a risotto with it, or a turkey soup, right? All right. I know it looks pink, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget we brined it, so it's got salt in the meat, and that tends to change the color. All right. So we'll just kind of shred it off the bone there. Okay. That's our dark meat. Let me put this in the other tray I got here. All right, along with the bone. If you butcher your turkey the way I'm showing you, you're going to get a higher yield, which means more flesh from the bone, more usable product, right? That's really what Chef Star was going for. We want to make sure we get bang for our buck. Again, let me see if I can show you. All right, right here is where that oyster muscle lives. Let me get it for you. Yeah, one more time. There it is. Pulled it right out. Again, it's like this little tiny, it's almost like a scapular sort of shape, right? It's like a spoon shape, and that muscle sits right inside there, and it's at the base of the bird, so it gets basted naturally by the flow of the juices around your turkey, so it ends up being really the most tender piece. We're going to break down one more time here. We got your drumstick, right? They tend to have a lot of what are basically connective tissue, and they're like kind of straps, right? Because the leg does a lot of work on the animal, right? It does a lot of moving the bird around so it can eat and all that stuff. So it ends up, it's got all this connective tissue in it. So it's really the kind of thing you want to eat off the bone, versus trying to break it down, because then you have to like separate out all those little bits of sinew and those little stringy bits, right? In fact, here is a piece that came away, so I can just kind of show you what I mean when I say stringy bits. It's sort of like this is just how the muscle moves, right? This little piece right here just helps the muscle move, but it's not edible, right? It's kind of like cartilage, so we're going to pull that out whenever we're working with it, right? But that's your thigh. That's how it looks. Again, wrestle the bone out or peel the meat off. This makes really nice turkey tetrazzini, even turkey salad. £20-pound turkey is a lot of meat. You probably end up with about 60% of yield. That's pretty generous, which means if you got a 20-pound bird, you probably end up with about like, maybe 15 pounds of meat or so, because the frame of the bird does have some weight, right? Your bones are going to weigh considerably. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is your prepared turkey. I ran out of room on my tray, so I'll move this over to the storage bin for it. It's not pretty once you break it all down, but it sure is delicious. Right? Now I can show you real quickly just how to slice the breast, how I like to do it. Put this guy down, right? Being fully rested, you can see all of this, all the sheen that you see is both fat and collagen. This is where all the real flavor in the bird is, right? So we slice it. Look at that beautifully cooked white meat, right? Anybody craving a turkey sandwich now? Look at this thing. She's gorgeous. All right. So I wanted to kind of slice it so you could see how easily it slices this way. No more fighting with it on the bone. I'm telling you, since I started breaking my turkey down and slicing it, I always present it at the table as a whole bird, right? And then I want to get it out, show everybody, isn't it look nice? And then boom, bring it back to the kitchen, break it all down and bring it out on a platter, right? This also prevents people from like overportioning themselves and wasting meat, right? Because you're only going to take what you can eat. But if you don't know or don't know how to break down a bird, you could probably, end up overportioning yourself, and then, nobody really wants to eat off anybody else's plate, right? I think though, this piece is calling to me. I'm going to take a bite. Oh. Skin is crisp. The meat is juicy. Very, very flavorful. And I only put a little bit of salt on the outside. That was it. All of the seasoning comes from that brine. It's worked into the bird overnight. Just like when you're soaking in the tub and you find yourself getting a little bit puffy, right? That's just you taking on excess water. Essentially, you're brining yourself. But luckily, no one's going to roast you. So, well, if you're lucky. We have our turkey fully broke down here, and it looks like our carrots and turnip are just about done. So I'm going to remove the gloves, drain the water from the carrots and turnip, and we'll finish those. I'll show you how to finish preparing those. Okay, here we go. Gonna do that on the stove, away from my turkey mess. Here we go. Remove that, shut the heat off. Gonna rinse my knife. Okay, I'll take my pot, just like I did with the butternut squash. If you have a colander at home, that works out good, or some kind of a straining basket, that works out great. And then you'll want to get a masher for your carrots and turnip, because they're slightly more sturdy, though they are cooked through, right? They should be, you should be able to take them and break them in your hands, right? Like so. I know it's hot, so you might not want to do that. You might get a pair of tongs, perhaps, and squish your bits with the tongs. And that'll kind of tell you whether or not they're ready for mashing. These guys are. What I'm going to do is take a 4-ounce nugget of butter. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's your seasoning too, right? That and a teaspoon and a half or so of kosher salt. About a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt. And then we work the butter into this carrot and turnip. I like to actually, so mashing them is probably the classic preparation for carrots and turnip. Right, breaking them down like so. That is the classic preparation. But I have taken carrots and turnip like this and taken it diced and then seasoned it with salt, pepper, a little bit of olive oil, fresh thyme, and then I'll take it and I'll spread it out into a cookie sheet, and I'll put it in the oven at like 400 degrees, and I'll let it get nice and roasty, caramelized. All right. Once we get this all mashed, we've got some finished carrots and turnip right here, so you can take a look at it. This is our carrots and turnip. Once we have them removed from the heat and fully mashed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you have learned something today. I hope that if you decide to do a bird for your holiday, whatever kind of bird that is, that you consider brining, okay? Brining is a great way to add flavor and add moisture to an otherwise what could be tough bird, right? And then please try some of these different sides I've created for you today, particularly the French Canadian meat dressing, one of my family's favorites and one of my personal favorites as well. Thank you for joining us today, and wherever it is you're spending your holiday, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you try some of these seasonal favorites.